Some breaking news around Leandro Trossard of Arsenal, of course. News breaking today that he has agreed a brand new contract at Arsenal and will remain at the club until 2027. Now, this has been broken today by Gunner Blog, who, of course, is a writer and journalist for The Athletic. And he is reporting today exclusive. Leandro Trossard has agreed a new deal at Arsenal. The 30-year-old will have a salary increase to reflect his valued role in the squad. The deal has not been extended and will run until 2027. Leandro Trossard. Now, of course, Leandro Trossard has been heavily linked this whole transfer window with a move away from Arsenal. Even on today's Transfer Daily show, I was reporting how Brentford are one of the clubs that are really interested in him. They would like to sign him to potentially replace Wissa, who looks like he could be leaving Brentford. He's also been linked heavily with a move to Aston Villa, to Galatasaray, to Fenerbahce. Today as well, stories were emerging that Inter Milan were interested in him. But according to Gunner Blog, he's going to be staying put at Arsenal. I'm trying to get my head a bit round the story. Gunner Blog is a very respected, journalist. I saw him in the summer. He was over there with Arsenal on tour. So, his stories are normally very accurate. What I'm a little bit confused about in the story is that he says the deal has not been extended and will still run until 2027. Now, if you look at all the details around Leandro Trossard, his current contract expires at the end of this next season. So, or the end of this season, should I say, now that we've started the season. 30th of June, 2026 is when his current contract's running to. He's saying that this new deal will extend it till 2027. Now, I don't know if maybe he has a clause in his current contract where Arsenal can activate a year's extension, and if that's what they've done in this case. But certainly, he's reporting, as I said, that he will be staying at Arsenal with new wages until 2027. Now, I want to get your reaction on this. On the one hand, good news, because I think Leandro Trossard is a top player. We were discussing this yesterday on Gunners Unfiltered, me and Turkish. And Turkish was saying, listen, I want him to stay because he's such a good player. And we've seen so many clutch moments from Leandro Trossard, over his time at Arsenal. And you could argue that over the last seasons or so, he's been better than Martinelli. I mean, last season, definitely better than Martinelli. The season before, more goals than Martinelli as well. And he does have a habit of coming up with really big goals for Arsenal. So I've got no problem with Leandro Trossard staying. However, does that mean now that Arsenal will no longer try to move for a left winger? Because, of course, that's a position that he plays. He's kind of like a hybrid left winger, isn't it? He can play left wing. He can sort of come in and play, that attacking role. But is the fact that now Leandro Trossard is extending his contract, and as I said, for a very long time, it's looked like he's going to be leaving. Does that mean that Arsenal are not going to move for a left winger? I was speaking today on the show about possible move before the end of the transfer window for Rodrigo. Does this now rule it out? Could Arsenal be looking to maybe move Martinelli on instead? Who knows right now? Only person who knows is Andrea Berta, but it does look like Leandro Trossard will be staying at Arsenal. And that's looked very unlikely recently. I was speaking on Transfer Daily about how at the weekend, he didn't play at the weekend. Despite him being in the squad, Madueke came on in front of him, and I thought to myself, Madueke coming on a right winger before Trossard, who we know is a player that can give you goals and stuff like that. That seemed like a strange one. I was like, is that a sign that he's leaving? he hasn't figured. I know he's had a little bit of an injury, but he hasn't figured much in pre-season. So I started thinking, is he going to be going? He'd either brought in a new agent to represent him. Again, that can be a sign that, he could be leaving when you see stuff like that. But, as I said, Gunner Blog reporting that he's going to stay, and he will be staying. His contract's going to be running till at least 2027. Is this Arsenal protecting the value of the player? By not, moving him on. By giving him this new contract, they keep certain value around him, although he is 30 now. And by the time, we get to next season, now he's going to be 31. It's an interesting one. Listen, as I said, he's a top player. I think as a player in your squad, he's been an excellent player. And I have no problem with him staying, but it's just that now, are we not going to be bringing in a left winger, which for me has been a little bit of an issue for Arsenal. On the right-hand side, very, very strong. Through the middle now, Gyökeres and Havertz. That's good. The left-hand side has been a little bit of an issue, but are we signalling that that's what we're going to go with? We haven't moved for Eze. And listen, it's not like Arsenal have tried to get Eze and been outbidded or whatever. They've just not even made an attempt to get Eze after all the initial inquiries. They haven't moved for Lookman, who they spoke to. They haven't moved yet for Rodrigo. Is Trossard going to be the final signing here in that position or not? That's going to be the intriguing thing. We won't find out until the end of the transfer window, but I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it. And if that is the case, are you happy with that? Are you happy that Arsenal look like they could be just settling with Martinelli and Trossard on that left-hand side and won't be bringing in someone on that left-hand side? Do you think that's enough to win Arsenal the league? I would love to hear from you guys on this subject tonight. But as I said, Gunner Blog breaking this tonight, exclusive, that Leandro Trossard has agreed a new deal at Arsenal. The 30-year-old will have a salary increase to reflect his value and role in the squad. He says deal not extended. As I said, his current deal, even when you look on places like Transfer Market, the current deal says it runs out in 2026, but he says the deal will run till 2027. So that indicates that maybe he had one of those clauses in where the club can automatically extend it for a year. On the one aspect, good news, Trossard, good player, no complaints about him whatsoever. But if we don't bring in a left winger, are we falling short with what we're trying to do, which of course is trying to win this league this season? Would love to get your opinions on it. So I'm sure we'll explore this more tomorrow on Transfer Daily, but I had to break this news for you. Thank you for joining me. Also, I want to big up Cecil. Big up Cecil today. He's been working for the PFA. He was doing a TikTok live earlier. I saw him talking. He went over and greeted Gabriel. He interviewed Mo Salah, Van Dijk, everybody. It was absolutely brilliant. Well done to Cecil. But that is the breaking news today. We'll be back in the morning with Transfer Daily. And please, please, please subscribe here to AFTV so you don't miss a thing with all of this breaking news. Thank you, and I'll see you in the morning.